Good evening.
Evening.
How are you?
Happy Friday.
Brilliant. It's saying that no one's watching.
Oh dear. Must have that effect on people.
No, it's all right. No, it's 32. Sorry. On the screen it said that no one was watching. All of a sudden it came up with 32 people watching. So I was a little bit, what the hell's happening here? But anyway, good evening.
That new haircut you've had, scaring everybody off.
Oh, yes, I went to the butcher's. At the butcher's today, nice and cheap. Thank you for noticing. Short back and sides.
That's the one.
Oh dear. Right. So at the moment we're too light. Steve is joining us. He's messaged to say he's having problems logging on. So I assume that's to do with sound, because it's usually sound. But he's having technical issues, I think, is the jargon he was saying. So he'll be 2 or 3 minutes late. And Jay can't join us this evening. He's had to, he's all okay, but he's had to go to Yorkshire. So everything's okay. He sends his love as always. He may be watching because he might be in the car, because I know he was stuck in traffic when he messaged us about half hour or so ago. So if you're watching, Jay, good evening. And I'm sure we'll catch up next week. Right. Okay. Tonight we're going to talk about dosing. Sorry, I had a bit of a blank moment there, a bit of a senior moment. We're going to talk about dosing, but we'll come back to that a little bit later on. And if Steve joins, I know from last week he said that we was going to give away one of the Mogsy mugs. So we'll be doing that later on as well, as long as he joins, because of course he's got the mug, I haven't. So right, without further ado, we'll just go through who's with us, who's joined, and then we'll talk about our tanks a little bit. So evening, Tony was first in the house, which he is most weeks. So what's that? Looking forward to the live stream, Red Sea products he's using, and also trying Reef's elements. He's heard good things about that. Yeah, I have. We'll come back to that in a little bit. He's saying, can we press the like button? So if you could, that would be fantastic. Thank you very much. Good evening, Cottage Reef. Hope you're well. Johnny Boy, hope you're doing very, very well. I saw later on, I think you've got rid of your dinos and your diatoms. So good man. I've still got mine, but it's clearing up, and we'll come on to that in a little bit. Techers, Reef, morning Reefers. Yeah, good morning, Techers. Are you not in the UK, or are you just getting a bit confused about the time? Don't know. Right, okay, here we go. Only Fins is back in the house. Good evening to you, Only Fins.
Evening.
And not only has he said it once, he's said it 4 times. So a very good evening to you.
Okay.
MK Reefer, good evening. Woody, hope you're well. And Lee's Reef is with us, all complete with his bubble coral. Carl, hope you're well. Are you in the cab tonight, or you got your feet up? Stuart, good evening to you. Drippy's around. Oh, here we go. Evening Reef Squares. Hope everyone's okay. Large portion of Friday foreplay. Okay. And I met up with Drippy early this week. He was doing some plastering for my son, so that was an experience as always. So good evening to you, Drippy.
The plastering's all right for you.
Well, it wasn't my house; it's my son. He seems happy with it, so I can't.
Okay.
You know, what can I say? I haven't seen it, and Jill says it's okay, and she's got the fine detail when it comes to workmanship.
Thinking Drippy by name, Drippy by nature. Fingers crossed it goes all right. We'll see.
No, I think the plaster's all right. It hasn't dried out yet, but you know that's because it's been raining all week. But so far, so good, Drippy. You're off the hook. One Arm Reefer, good evening to you. Eddie Parker, Light the Shark, good evening to you. UKM 120, good evening. Rigsy 69, good evening to you, and also good evening to 216. Simple Reef Life, like you know Zoas. Is that some Rusters? Sunny D's. Is that Eagle Eyes, the one, the top right hand corner? Is that? I don't know what the other. So you think Gobstoppers?
Gobstoppers to the left, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, not bad. Free off getting the Zoas. You don't see so many Zoas about nowadays, do you? Not as much as I used to.
Thank God.
Yeah. You're not a lover of Zoas?
No. I used to be when I first got in the hobby, but I don't know. No. There's plenty of other corals that pop for me than Zoas. But no, for a beginner coral, cracking. Just keep control of them and don't spend too much money. They're just a nice colour at the end of the day. Ignore the name.
Yeah, I've got some Sunny
Classic.
D's that are taking over one of the tanks. So they can have a habit of taking over, and you've got to either, I think, putty them over, or they're really hard to. I think if you get a knife underneath them, and you can pull them away.
I got some Utter Chaos one in the early days. They were the rage. Utter Chaos, Sunny D's, and whatever else. And I had some purple polyp. I can't remember what you call it now, and it literally just covered my tank. So yeah, it was a bit of a nightmare. But yeah. I think they do look good around the bottom of the rockscape. In all fairness, in some tanks I've seen, it's just controlling them for me.
Yeah. But I mean, if you want a bit of colour.
Oh, definitely pop. Oh,
and
definitely.
Also, absolutely. Yeah. I think I remember when Utter Chaos, they were really expensive, weren't they?
Well, £65 a polyp when I was getting them.
Yeah.
And that wasn't expensive by the stretch of what you could have paid for some of them.
Yeah. But now I think you go back 5 years, they were really, really expensive, really, really popular. But I think with LPS and torches and other stuff, I think they've taken the shine off.
Yeah, they have.
But, I mean, if you're looking for a bit of colour, and you can put them in low light as well, some of them, and they'll just do really, really well.
Candy apple red, candy apple green, all those.
Yeah, some really nice ones. My favourite, I've got to be, I think, Sunny D's are probably my favourite, because you don't get that many corals that are yellow or kind of yellowy orange. No. And so I think they just give you that bit of colour. Anyway, right. Distracted as always.
Sorry.
Hi, Hayley. No, that's me. Good evening to you, Hayley.
Evening.
Rennie's Reef. Good evening to you. Good evening, Jill. Hope you're well.
Evening, Gil.
Yeah. Martin, good evening with you and your bike. Oh, wait a minute. Here we go. He's in the house. Oh. I'm going to hold my breath.
Greetings.
Oh, we can hear him. Good man. I wondered if you had sound problems. I was going to go, oh, my God.
It was sound and, sound and a bit of computer problems as well. I thought, it's double trouble, but we're here, mate. We're here. Managed to get it on. Anyway,
good job. We're just doing a roll call at the moment. It's taken quite a long time because I'm gassing about other 6 things and getting distracted. And I started pretty much on time as well. Right, let's move on. Oh, no, I didn't say hello there. Sorry. So L or I-33 or 133. We're not too sure. The verdict's out on that one. SNO. So good evening to you. And then we got John. Hiya, John. Corals Essential. Good evening to you. And hiya, Marek. Good evening. Chris Allen is in the house. Good evening to you. And so is our friend, the Economical Reefer. I'm loving that picture. What's that? Is that Recordia? Looks like a Recordia, doesn't it? Yeah. Right, let's have a look. I got the Kung Fu Shrimp. Good evening to you. Loving the logo and the name. Good evening to you, HC. Hope you're well. I haven't spoken to you for a little while. Seen some of your videos recently. Looking good, the tank.
Yeah, awesome.
And then we've got Oliver. Good evening to you, Oliver. Julie and liking that rockscape. Very nice.
Yeah, like that.
It is very nice. Sky Marine, good evening to you. Andy's of the Reef, good evening to you. I think we're almost there. Let's kind of scrolling down a bit more. Lots of chat going on. Jim Green, good evening, Jim Green of the 83. Hiya. Right, we are at the bottom, more or less. So what we're going to do, we're going to just have a little chat about the tanks and stuff like that. Steve, are we doing the giveaway at the end of the evening or during the evening?
Yeah. Well, we'll have to do it. You know, I'm probably be doing the wheel of names or the random name thing, so we'll probably have to start it a little bit earlier than we usually do, mate, to be fair.
Right.
So I'm not very good at typing, you know what I mean? So, I'll rephrase that. I am good at typing, but not fast at typing. So,
right. Okay.
So, yeah. We will do it. For sure.
Quality, but not the speed, Steve. That's what you want. Quality, not the speed.
That's it, mate. That's it. As long as they're getting their names in, everything will be good.
Cool. Right. Okay. Let's kind of move on to tanks. So we'll start with you, Steve. Seeing your video, your tank's looking at the moment by the looks of it. So what's going on? What's the secret?
You know what, mate? Nothing, to be fair. I mean, it's going. All I can say is, we've talked about it before that where smaller tanks are always harder to keep stable, aren't they? You know what I mean? It's just obviously the water volume in it. You know, that's it. That's the thing. But I mean, I think the biggest thing really that I really need to add on to it is probably an ATO because of my shifts and my patterns, and I'm out of the house for 10 hours a day. Yeah, what I'm having to do is I'm putting a little bit in the morning when I either go to work. Yeah, even though it might not need it, you know, to compensate for the evaporation during the day while I'm out, because I know I'm out for 10 hours. Yeah, and it's like whereas before, what I was doing was I was coming in and it had dropped by like a quarter of a litre or half a litre. So I'm having to put half a litre of water in, you know what I mean? So it's like, so then what it does then is it just drops because it's, I mean, I should have put a heater in the tub really, but I mean, because I'm only thinking because it's only half a litre or a quarter of a litre, it's not going to make it cold. But it does drop the temperature by about one and a half degrees or something. You know what I mean? It's at 25, really? So it goes to about straight away. No, the moment I put it in the rear chamber because it's like it's an all-in-one. But then obviously when it hits the tank, it heats itself back up and stuff. So I think the biggest thing is probably maybe to add an ATO onto it, to be honest, and then it can do it through the day. Do you know what I mean? But in terms of like, you know, the parameters and all that's absolutely spot on, mate. With, you know, just the one water change a week. I mean, I'm averaging probably, like I said before, about 25-30% really, because there's only 40 litres of water in there, and I'm doing about 10-15 litres of water changes.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So it's getting a good water change every week. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, and all the corals are thriving. Everything's doing fine. Apart from that green torch that I had a bit of an issue with. I don't really know what happened to that, to be honest, because I thought it was brown jelly disease. But it wasn't, because it didn't smell. That was a strange thing. So it was as if like it is just like, you know, like brown jelly, you know, straight away you pull it out and it stinks, doesn't it? It's like it's a bacterial infection. You smell it straight away. Oh, it's horrible, mate. But this one, I pulled it out. There was no smell whatsoever. It had just like rotted, gone away. Do you know what I mean? So is
it just bowed? Because sometimes torches are like that. They can just bow, and you just you know, if all the others are all right, because you've got quite a few Euphilia in there.
That's what I mean. Yeah. I think that was just bailed, mate. Because like I said, all the parameters seem to check. Alkalinity, like I said, 8.8 last time it was tested. And yeah, everything is doing really, really good, you know, with it. And it's just like that one water change, you know, each week. But yeah, it is. It's we'll use a tons of ATO and the flu. But well, to be honest,
I was going to ask that. Is it a bit big?
Yeah, the nano. You've got the nano one, haven't you? You've got the nano tons, haven't you, that you can put on. Is it 9380 or 9320 or whatever it is? You've got that one, I suppose. That you could use that, but I mean, a lot of people have said, you know, why don't you use the D&D? I did use the D&D once on the original one, you know, the green one, the sensor one. I have used one of them before, and until the sensor failed, it should give way. It lasted 2 years, so it wasn't too bad for the price of it. But then I look at it and I think, well, the Nano Tunza is only, I think it's 85 quid or something like that. Whereas the D&D is 60 odd. The D&D is 60 odd pounds, 70 pounds.
Yeah. That's even better, isn't it?
So it's like, you know, it's like, do you just go for the Tunza? You guys know my love-hate relationship, and it's more love now. I'm showing the love to Tunza now. I'm showing the love to him because it's working well. Do you know what I mean? But it was working well. So yeah, I might go to a Tunzi, to be fair, because stick to what or not, you know what I mean. But yeah, other than that, mate, everything's fine. Obviously, the little clownfish, they're doing well and stuff, and yeah, so far so good, mate.
I'm assuming you can't use the 311155 oscillator. That's too big. That's too big, isn't it?
Yeah, it's too big. Yeah.
The pump is huge. Well, it's not huge, but for that.
I think. I mean, now we are going overboard with it. Yeah, I mean, I've stuck that on it. I mean, I could pimp out, couldn't I? Could put the apex and everything on it. Most expensive fluval nano.
Nanos.
You know what I mean? Yeah. The most expensive fluval nano setup or something like that. Yeah, that would be funny, wouldn't it? You know what I mean? But yeah, other than that, mate, it's doing really, really good. In all honesty, I adjusted the light settings because I was getting this brown film, you know, this brown light. diatoms type thing, and it's strange, isn't it? And then I checked into it, and I was like, why am I getting that? I've got quite a bit of cleanup crew in there, and I'm like, why is that still there? You know what I mean? I couldn't. And then I read a few things that he was saying your lights might be too high, bright, too strong. So I turned it down. I literally turned it down by about 5%. Yeah, about 5-7%. And there's no, it's gone. There's no brown. I stirred it up the sandbed, and it's not come back for over the last 3 days. So yeah, it must have been just slightly too high for it. You know what I mean?
You like a dust?
Really inferred it. Yeah, like a dust. Yeah.
I've been fighting something very similar at the minute.
Oh, mate, but it's gone now. It's gone. So it can only be the lights because I've not changed anything other than turn the lights down by, like I said, by about 5-7%. So yeah, it's gone, and that was 3 days ago, and it's not come back. So yeah, it must have just been that, to be fair. But yeah, other than that, mate, fingers crossed, everything is going really, really good. In it, I'm quite happy with it. I just need to add a few more corals. Thinking of maybe getting, like a Kenya tree or a level, at the back, so it's like at the back of it. You know what I mean? Because they're lovely corals in a way.
Some of them
like
toadstools are nice.
Yeah,
toadstools.
Big
toadstool.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
There's some
nice
yellow ones, isn't there? I haven't seen them
before,
but I've seen some pictures of people in the UK selling. I can't remember. Sorry, the yellow. I don't know. I think they were toadstools. I don't think they were Kenya tree.
Toadstools, there'll be toadstools,
As you say, you don't get many corals that are yellow. So if you can get a softie,
imagine that'd be nice.
That'd be brilliant.
Oh,
mate,
really
good.
That would.
Yeah.
There's a couple of comments there. You got the Kamara there. John's got the Kamara ATO for the Nano.
Yeah, the Kamara. Kamara's a good one.
Talking about the Tunzi Nano.
Yeah, the Tunzi. Yeah, Cottage, the Reef there. Yeah, that's like I said, it is good. That, to be fair, and it's small, it's compact. You know what I mean? And it's it works. The only problem I have is I think the pump is the same. Is it the same size as the large one? I think it is, isn't it? I think it is. So if that's the case, because I could squeeze a 10-litre bucket in the cabinet, below me.
Yeah.
So I could put a 10-litre one, but a 25-litre I couldn't get in that cabinet. You know what I mean? Because that's where my gas, my gas meter is and all that. So, but a 10-litre one I could fit in it. So, and I don't think those Tunzi pumps fit in the whole of a 10-litre. To be fair, I'll have to check. But I've got a 10-litre in there, so I'll have to check it.
They're really narrow, aren't they?
They're narrow. They're narrow.
You can get. I mean, I've got the because if I'd put a normal size container in here, the pump wouldn't have fit into the Red Sea. So I bought a eBay one that's the size of a saucer size, basically.
That's what you need.
Hole. And they're saying it's the same pump, so I'm not too sure. I mean, if you wanted to push the boat out, you could go for the Red Sea one, Steve, and then you could put it on the new tank. But if you got the Tunzi one already, then you probably don't need the expense of 200 quid, do you?
Hold on a minute. The tank only cost me 140 quid. Imagine that. Your ATO cost me more than the tank. Steve, there's something not right there, son.
I'm saying for the new tank.
Hey, now you're trying to tell me to pimp my tank out, are you? I tell you, you're gonna say put the Apex on, put the Reef factory on, and all that.
I think you should have a refugium in that. And Calquasser.
You know what? Hey mate, I tell you what, there's that Reef print, where I got the media baskets from, and they actually do an actual refugium. They actually do a refugium box for it, mate. Seriously, If you go on their website, I'll see if I can bring it up so you can share it, But honest to God, it's actually like a little refugium. I mean, they don't supply the light, but he posts a picture of where you get it from on Amazon, where it was this light, and it's an actual refugium, mate, that you can put in a fluval. I mean, they just make anything out of 3D.
Yeah.
Oh, mate, of course it is.
Really think about it.
Yeah, for sure. But other than that, mate, it's all going really, really well. To be fair, so
there's just a few comments here, Steve. So John's using a 10-litre storage.
Storage box.
Reef. Love that logo.
Duetto.
Using the Duetto 2. Never heard of that.
Yeah. Duetto 2.
Me neither.
I think that's similar. I think that looks similar to the D&D one. I'm sure that looks similar to the D&D.
All right.
I'm sure it does. I've heard of it.
I see. Right, I'm just going to Google it.
Yeah.
I think it's available.
Sure it is.
Yeah, it is. It's in the UK. Wait a minute. Let me see. Let's put it on screen. Only because I've never heard of it before.
Yeah, Duetto. I've heard of that one before, to be honest.
No.
Let's take that off. I'm just going to present this one.
Yeah.
There you go. Just.
All right.
I'm not too sure it is available in the UK. I mean, it's just thinking about it. Right,
how much are those D&D ones there? 74 quid.
75,
yeah. So I think the Tunsi's only 90 quid.
75. Yeah, 75 quid.
Yeah. When I bought them, it was 64 quid when I bought mine. £64 they were.
Yeah. So if you look at it, the cheaper ones, it's around what 72, 74 quid. That's not it's not a bad option. To be fair. No,
it's not. To be fair.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, like we said about ATOs. They're important, aren't they? You know what I mean? They're a must, especially if you have a busy schedule. Yeah, you've got a busy schedule. You're out the house for 10, 12 hours a day. It's literally not good. I mean, it's like, imagine like Tom having no ATO on that big tank there. He'd have to come in and shove a 20-litre bucket of fresh water in, wouldn't he? You know,
you mean like
it's not good, that is it?
You mean like if I had a power
cut? Oh yeah, if you have a power cut or something like that, yeah, it's same thing.
Right, we'll come back to you in a minute. I just want to finish off these comments, Tom, and then we'll come back to your 7 days of reefing in the a Craig Davis.
7 years of reefing in 7 days.
Right, there's a comment there from Woody. Steve, did you see you've won a couple of bits on the expert raffle?
No, mate. I didn't even know it was drawn. Actually.
Well, there we go. A comment there about the yellow lever. You better have a look. Who knows what?
I've not even been on it, mate. No, I've not been on it. Eh?
There you go.
Won a couple of bits.
ATO works pretty well. Yeah.
Reef float. Yeah, reef float. Yeah, fair play. Good shout that.
There we go. Clippy says he's got the DD ATO. You can have it, mate. I'll post it.
Good, yeah. Oh, nice one, Dripper. No, I'll sort it out, mate, for that. No problem. I don't want it for nothing, mate.
He hasn't said how much though. There's always a catch.
Yeah, it's going to charge me £73.99
postage,
and it doesn't come with a warranty either.
Postage. 70 quid postage.
It's missing the pump. It's missing the pump. You got the sensor, but no pump.
Yeah. Oh, and the plug's off it as well. By the way, you got to put your own plug on it.
You got the sensor, and that's it.
Hey, Driphead, nice one. I appreciate that, mate. Appreciate that.
There you go. You won a t-shirt and a cup, I think, Steve.
Oh, mate. Is that it? Out of all that, you know what? I had 50 raffle tickets. I had, mate. A t-shirt. Taking the mick, mate.
It's a small as well.
Come on.
It's an extra small.
Yeah, small one. Yeah, a small one. It don't fit me. It'll fit my son. My son could have it on. Having said that, cool. Fair play.
There you go. Refloat are great. Company
doing Refloat.
Water change on that.
Yeah.
Refloat, should I say. Right.
Like I said, I mean, the one good thing, like with what Drip has just said there with those D&D, is the pumps are super tiny, aren't they?
Tiny.
They're those little tiny little micro pumps, aren't they? So I know that they will 100%. They will go in a 10-litre or jerry can. You know what I mean? So that's one thing with them. To be fair,
yeah.
So yeah, I appreciate that, mate. No, that'd be great.
Absolutely. Right. Over to you, Tom. Tell us about your 7 days of reefing.
Well, yeah, I woke up
Have we got enough time? We've only got 1 hour and 35 minutes. Oh, sorry, mate.
We're not talking about pH. We'll be all right.
Yeah, okay, fair play.
We'll talk about pH if you want. Let's talk about
no, not tonight. You can do that on your first live stream.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah, Monday morning, got up for work, went to the bathroom. We've got a sensor that comes on as you walk into the bathroom. Didn't come on. Thought that's a bit strange. Went to the bathroom, came downstairs. Lounge is flooded with candles. Mrs. has been up since 5 o'clock. Why are you up? We've got no power. Oh, we've got no power. Northern Grid or whatever he was texting us saying, yeah, we're going to try and get it on by 7:30. So I thought, I'll hang on, see if it happens. Then got a text message saying it's not coming on till this afternoon. Right.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Need to do something. Temperature is all right. It's obviously a big volume of water. It's against an internal wall. It's a well insulated house. Temperature was fine. I was more bothered about flow, to be fair, more than anything. Bought the generator a couple of years ago. Never used it. So I was sat outside, stood outside Tool Station because I didn't buy one of these.
Oh, yeah.
So, after a bit of, a bit of a facade, driving to Tool Station, then to get some petrol. But I went to the local petrol station. Guess what? They'd got no power, couldn't receive payment. So I had to go to another petrol station. Got to the petrol station, filled the jerry can up, and then my mate who helped me lift the generator out said, you've put oil in it, haven't you? I was like, what do you mean oil? He went, you got to put oil in a new generator. I was like, I put any oil in it. I had to go and get some oil in it. Came back to get some oil in it. It just went on and on and on and on. But by about 9:15, 8:30, 9:30, we'd got power. And to be fair, it was a lot easier once I'd got everything I should have got, which in hindsight, lesson learned. It was a damn sight easier to use than I thought, and it's a really good generator. And it ran. I put the heater on and both the return pumps on, and it ran for about 3 hours before the power came back on. So I'm fortunate I've got it. But again, lesson learned again. No point buying something if you can't plug it in. Literally.
So basically, you had some heat and flow in the tank, and the rest of the house was cold.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So did you all go and hug the tank?
No. I actually went to work. The missus was asking me for about a good half an hour trying to figure out how I could put TV on so she could watch Netflix. But priorities.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the funny thing.
So that was Monday. Tuesday was at work. Wednesday I went to see our good friend Josh Reef over in Sunderland.
Yeah, I saw that.
So the magic of the Nano in person.
Yeah,
cracking tank. And it's as good a person as it was on his Instagram page. Bless him, puts a ridiculous amount of time into it. You touch it's almost like being in one of these expensive shops or jewelers where if you touch something, they tap your hand in the wipe in the glass to get rid of the finger mark. You breathe too close to it. He's there with a white glove, rubbing it off like Mickey Mouse. But no, it's great tank, great guy. And I've not seen a 170, a tank like that in terms of how cramped it. Well, not cramped, but how much thought he's put into it. I mean, I thought I put a lot of thought into this sump with the size of it, but the amount of equipment he's got in, it's so precise and it runs like clockwork. Fair play to him. He's have a cracking tank. He's put a lot of effort in. But no, it was really good. He gave me took me Apogee power meter up. He wanted to test his power on his tank. Did all that. Had a good chat for a few hours, and then I travelled back from Middlesbrough with a piece of barley slimer from him that's doing really well in the tank.
Oh,
actually,
nice.
Okay, fair play.
There, you can see it.
Oh yeah, we can see it.
Yeah.
So that's doing well. Polyps are out. Happy days. What else did we do? And that's pretty much it, really. This week we've had. I've decided we're going to change the water change routine. People's toes are going to curl when I say this, but I sort of decided that I've got to do water change, part of the Zeovit sort of system schedule that I'm running, 10% every week. But 10% for me, as you know, it's a bit of a ball ache because obviously I have to run the RO on a Friday, heat it up, salt it Saturday, check the salinity. So you're looking at probably late Saturday, Sunday doing the water change.
Yeah.
How can I make that easier? And I actually spoke to somebody, to be fair, who I've known a long time, who's been a lot longer than I have, and we're having a conversation about auto water changes, which is something I do want to look at. And I think it's more relevant the more volume of water you're sort of dealing with in terms of ease. I'm not saying you can't do it on a smaller system, but for me,
it's a lot less hassle, isn't it?
Hassle.
I'm thinking about how much you do, because I'm thinking of doing it on the 170. Yeah. When I stop dosing what I'm doing on the other tank, I'm thinking of using 2 DOS doser pumps, which is basically 1 unit, and just do a constant water change, like 1% a day. And I got that from BRS TV because they do that 1.25. I know they're small
So,
tanks, but it's the same principle, isn't it?
So I've got the vat in the garage that I used to mix my water when I do a water change, which holds 500 litres. Well, it's 510 litres.
Wow.
So I keep it turning over with MP40 and a couple of titanium meters on a temperature controller. And I just thought, well, rather than doing 10% a week, if I just divide that over 5 or 6 days, coming in after work, I can give this tank an hour of my time. I'd rather give it an hour of my time every day than 6 hours of my time on one day.
Yeah.
So again, this goes back to what I say. I bang my drum about this all the time. It's all down to your lifestyle, your time, what you can, give and sacrifice. But for me to get in from work, feed the fish, give them half an hour, empty the filter floss, and do a water change. If I can only do 25 litres, then that means I don't have to disrupt anything. I don't have to turn the water off. I don't have to turn the return pump off. You have to turn the ATO off, so obviously it don't pump back in and the level don't drop. But other than that, it's 25 litres. It's taking me half an hour a day.
Yeah.
So what are you doing? Putting 25 litres in?
I'm taking 25 litres out and putting 25 litres in every day.
Okay. Oh, right, yeah, because, I see what you mean. Because you turn off the ATO, it's not going to automatically too low, so the return pump's not affected, and therefore you take out, put in, you don't disrupt anything. You just basically throw in a couple of buckets of water in, aren't you? Or pumping in a big jerry can. Yeah,
I'm taking 25 litres of water out and nothing's being affected. Skimmer level, return pump, power heads, nothing. I'm putting 25 litres.
I know Lee does that. The one I'm Reef for, he does that. He does water changes all through the day, every day.
Yeah,
he does it and it's just like I said, it just turns it over. Rather than doing one massive water change.
Yeah, it just got me thinking that. It just got me thinking that, we're talking. I know we're going to talk about dosing in a minute, but the one thing that we all have in common is we always say to people about spikes. Go from one extreme to the other, whether it's temperature, salinity, alkalinity, blah blah blah. It's better to be, a softer, increase or decrease, whichever way around you do it. But what's the diff? But how does that differ with a water change? It's exactly the same principle when you think about it.
Yeah.
If you would leave your husbandry or whatever to do a water change once a month and you do 10, 20%, that's going to be a spike or a drop because your tank isn't used to it every week.
Yeah.
If you do it every 2 weeks, it's going to be, less of a spike. If you do it every week, it's going to be less spike. If you do it every day, it's going to be less. So that curve, that spike is going to become a much more of a sort of consistent, line or whatever you want to call it. So for me, it just made a bit more sense that this tank, as much as I love it, and I am loving it, and that's, I knew what I was getting into. If I can take the ball ache, because I keep saying out the hobby a little bit, which I'm a big advocate of, not just with the toys and the gadgets that we can all buy these days, but just by simply doing every day, I'll change the filter floss or every other day, and I'll do 25 litre change, and I've got the water already ready, so I don't have to go to an LFS and buy it. No brainer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I've got a Sunday to sit and enjoy the tank, or Saturday and a Sunday to sit and enjoy the tank.
Yeah, because 6 hours is a long time, and I know you love it and everything else. But
you
could break that down into smaller packets of time.
It's probably more than that. It's more than that, to be fair, because like I say, you're constantly checking your TDS, and I'm thinking, is the resin going to run out? Do I have to change pre-filters? So if you've got 500 litres of water, I know I've got a good, 10, 20 days worth, nearly 3 weeks worth. Sat there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, makes sense, mate.
Absolutely.
So it's been a up and down week, but some of the frags though, just they're growing really well. I'm really happy so far.
Cool. Excellent.
Yeah.
Right. I've just got a couple of bits. So does anyone know what's happening with Oasis Aquatics up in they're your neck of the woods, don't they? So, because
they're closing down.
Are they? Because I saw on Facebook
they're closing. They're closing that shop, and they're moving to a smaller premises, I believe. Nowhere near as big, but it's on an industrial estate. I'm not sure. I know there's a couple of industrial estates around there because I used to work around there, but I don't know exactly which one it is. So I'm assuming it'll be like that. Remember the old shop, Marine 23, Do you ever remember it? Marine 23.
I remember the name of it, but obviously I hadn't been there because I think
was on an
Aaron used to
industrial
go there,
estate.
didn't he? Aaron's Aquarium
Yes.
used to go there.
Michael, and my good mate Steve.
Oh, I know where it is. It's where Steve Cale started before he went to before he went to
that's right. Before he went to he worked there. That's how I first met him.
Yeah,
Steve was going to Marine 23.
I remember now.
So I think it's on an industrial estate like that.
Right. The reason I say they're selling off some stuff at really cheap prices. I picked up a what did I pick up? So I phoned up and spoke to him today, and I picked up one of these. So the Tunzi, I don't know if you can see it, the Tunzi Nano Stream.
Right.
So I picked one of those up for 75 quid, and it's supposed to be 130 quid. Wow. That's brand new. So it was on Facebook yesterday, and they're selling like lights and all kinds of things with a good 30-40% off. So I'm looking for. I need another power head, and I like that. I've had one of those Tunzi ones before because they're controllable and it'll fit in here. And it'd be nice in the corner. Stuff like that. So, and I'm thinking they don't. Shops don't usually sell for that cheap. So I picked up one of those. It was 80 quid including postage instead of 130 quid. So
still a bargain, isn't it?
Yeah,
absolutely. And it's brand new, so I get the warranty. And I haven't seen anything to say they're closing down or anything, but every day you see the Ecotech, the Gen 6 lights. I think they had the other day. I think they've got AIs. I've seen the primes.
Got everything, mate.
So they've got some really good stuff that's going on cheap.
KH Keeper Gen 1 for 300 quid, I think, isn't there? Gen 1.
Yeah.
Did that? Yeah.
So anyway, I'm gonna stick that over here, so I've got a bit more flow, and then that'll be complete on that. But dare I say it, the dynos is beginning to go. You can see the sand is actually looking white now.
Yeah, it looks white.
Gradually, it's gradually going. It's taking its time. Corals look as best. I mean, I say this every week now. The corals are just looking better and better. The phosphate is really high. I think the phosphate is about 0.2. Yeah, because I'm not doing any water change. I'm doing no water changes. I'm putting phyto in every day. I'm doing miracle mud every week. I'm doing bacteria once a week as well. I've got all the nutrient export I've got is basically the filter sock, the sponge, and the skimmer. And considering I was doing a 10% check every week or change every week. Nutrients, I think I've stabilized them now, but I'm dosing silicates as well. My silicate is about 120 because I did an ICP. So the whole point of the silicate dosing every day is it'll have a algae bloom, not an algae bloom, diatom bloom that will then outcompete the dinos and it will kill off the dinos. And then you then put your cleanup crew in, and you put your cleanup crew in, and then the cleanup crew will take care of the diatoms. That's the theory. So I've got quite a lot of diatoms on there. They say you shouldn't really clean the glass, but I've been cleaning the glass and trying to take stuff out because I'm trying to keep control of the nutrients. Right. So we'll see how it goes. But so far so good. The corals are growing well, looking really good. The sand not as crappy as it was, but still a bit crappy. But yes, that's pretty good on that side.
Fair play.
So
fair play.
So for those who don't know, I use the microscope, and it is the dinos that don't float. So at night, they stay attached to the sand and stay attached to the rock. So at UV, you have very limited effect on this. It might have a little bit of an effect, which in a way I'm pleased about, because trying to get a UV into this tank is to be a nightmare. It's not as if I've got a sump and I can put it and hang it anywhere. Yeah. So I'd have to mess around with it. So yeah, I think I've been doing this for about 4 or 5 weeks now. And it's just one of those where you just got to have the patience and then outcompete it.
But does it not give you more confidence though when you're actually seeing, progress? Yeah,
because I've got no experience of this at all. So you're reading online and you're doing your research and you're thinking, is this just a Hail Mary? Or is actually this going to work? Especially when everyone just says blackout and UV, and that wouldn't work on this tank. So they're right in what they're saying. You need to use a microscope to identify what you've got. Otherwise, you just be barking up the wrong tree all the time. So it's beginning to improve, but I think if I put another power head in, that will help because it will just kind of start blowing it, and then which case
and then you can export it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that will definitely help. So you learn to be patient, didn't you? When you first start out, 5 or 6 months to do nothing. So I'm dying to get some more corals in there. But we'll see. If it's still knocking around in about a month's time, I'm going to start getting frustrated. But as long as I can see progress, you can live with that, can't you?
Definitely.
You can live with
that. Definitely. That's it.
That's good.
That's it.
There we go. Right, I'm going to go back to the top and see what comments there are, any questions, and then we'll move on to dosing. So there was 2 or 3 questions or 2 or 3 comments that I want to touch on, and they're not the dosing ones. Just bear with me. Loads of comments. Right, there we go. Anyone using Conazole, or I'm not even going to try and pronounce that one, on their reef tanks, and why? I don't use it, and I think I've used the first one for is that for algae? I think I've used it for algae.
For algae, yeah, I used it on the 170.
Probably some of the products I've had has had that in, but I'd use that kind of stuff.
Fluconazole.
Yeah,
fluconazole. Yeah, I mean, I'm like those old school things where when I was learning, people, it was more like find the cause of what the problem is rather than dosing stuff. Yeah, because all it is it's just the equivalent of like a band-aid in it. You know what I mean? It's
you can add to the problem as well.
Yeah, and it can add to it. So I always like and I've said it hundreds of times that when I had my tank, it was like try not to put anything in, figure out what it is, what the problem is before I did it. But I remember using that fluconazole. It's definitely for an algae, and I had it in the 170 because I had tufts of algae. Obviously, I was new to it, and I was just having all this tufts of algae. But my problem was, I didn't have enough cleanup crew in there. So, you know what I mean? So a very beginner mishap was I only had I think it was 2 snails or 3 snails, and that was it. But and then somebody said, why don't you just add load more snails into it and this, that, and the other, and one of those sea cucumbers, those sea cucumbers. And I did that, mate, and I kid you not, within a week it was all gone. It was literally, it was spotless, mate. Those cucumbers, those sea cucumbers, they are one of the best. Absolute, they are just incredible at eating algae. They're like lawnmowers, mate. They just go over everything. But once the algae's gone, you've got to give them back, or you've got to give them to somebody who's got a load of algae because they start.
Yeah. Is that all they eat? So do they not eat anything else? So they're one of those creatures.
I believe it was just like literally they hoover it up, mate. It's like a Dyson. They just hoover every grain of hair algae off everywhere, mate. And then once that's it, then that's it. You've got to give them away. You know what I mean? But or give them back to the shop. But yeah, that's I use that. But I did use that fluconazole once. But it's like with most products when you're doing it, when you're using something for algae control or things like that. If you've got corals in your tank, you've always got to be wary because your corals really do get knocked off with it. Do you know what I mean? With all sort of stuff. They either don't open or sometimes they strip something, So that's the reason why I'm always wary about putting them in. You know what I mean?
If you can do something, that's biological rather than chemical, then for me it's a win-win.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You're not shocking the system. To your point, you're shocking the system because you're killing off the algae. So there's a good chance if you're killing off the algae that your nutrients will go up because the algae would have been feeding off of those nutrients. So all of a sudden. It's not the level that it ends up is the problem. It's the fact it gets there so quickly. And depending on your calls, they're just going to sulk, aren't they? At best.
Yeah, they do, mate.
Some will bow depending on what you've got. So it's a fair point. It works because I have used it before, but I was mindful that I had to watch what the nutrients were and then do some water changes to try and stop them from going out. So that was on the 450. And I used it once and it worked. And I think I'm not going to use it again because I'm just a little bit concerned about the spikes really more than anything else. But it does what it says on the tin. It's just a case to your point. You've got to find out what the root cause is. And if it's in the first 6 months of a tank, your tank goes through that cycle anyway, doesn't it, of having that kind of stuff. Yeah. So you don't necessarily need to do it. Okay, so hopefully that answers the question. Got a question here, which Steve, I think I'll come to you first there. So I'm really concerned. I bought a Radian G6 15 for my nano, about 2 foot long lagoon. Want a mixed reef, but can I grow Acropora or can I grow SPS?
Absolutely,
so
100%, 100%, mate. You don't have to worry about that at all with that. Yeah, you'll easily grow. I mean, an XR, what did he say? An XR 15? Did he say
15 on a 2 foot?
Yeah, easy, mate. On a 2 foot, yeah, no problem at all, mate. You won't have any issues with that for sure.
You might have to watch how. You might have to watch. You don't if you have the intensity up too high.
That was just about to say that.
Underneath. Yeah. I'd be a bit concerned because they just. Yeah.
Oh, mate, I would say that. I mean, just like I've said when I put my 2 on my tank, and they come on, don't they? They come on straight away, don't they? On full 100% spectrum, when you put them on. And then I tested it, and it was reading 1,000. I think it was 1,150 par or something. Where I only wanted 360, 370. You know what I mean? It was just insane. The power of.
But you had the overlap, didn't you? Yeah. So you had the 2 lights.
Overlap.
And that's probably where you got the overlap. So you got 2 pucks.
Oh, it was insane,
burning
mate.
into it.
I know, but half of that magazine had been the reflection off your head, mate, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's quite possible. It's quite possible, mate. But nevertheless, even if half of it was still too high,
still 600.
Yeah, but it was.
I know that feeling all too well, mate.
Oh, mate, absolutely, yeah.
I ain't got a clue what you're talking about. My weave's all right.
He's going back finishing tomorrow, Paul.
Yeah, Steve, you haven't noticed I've been to the butcher's today.
Got a knife and fork out.
He's not observant, is he, Tom? Jeez.
It's been a long day, mate. I've been at work since 5 o'clock.
Oh, dear, looks tired.
It's been a hell of a long one.
That's a fair point. What I would say on the Radians, I mean, I've got Gen 3s and Gen 4s still, and I've just put a cup of acros in the bigger tank, and that's 2 Gen 4s, and then you can just see the polyps are beginning to go a little bit with the flow, and they seem to be liking the light, and they're 18 inches from the tank. Gen 4s and 3s are fine, and 6s will love it.
I mean, we talked about a guy running an SPS tank last week on a canister filter. I've seen people light tanks with lights from China that haven't even got a name on them. Do you know what I mean? So I think sometimes, and me included, we chase for some of the gadgets and the toys, and they're not half the time they're not necessary. You can get something a fraction of the price.
Mate, for sure.
It's just as good.
Absolutely, you can pick up. I think the Gen 4s, Gen 3s, about 100 quid, 120 quid, and as long as you have a look to make sure there's not too much salt creep and that on it, they'll last years. Yeah. Mine are 9 years old this year, the Gen 3.
I mean that's what. I mean, that's the one thing like with Ecotech is no matter what you say, people can say about it. People like them, people don't like them, people love them and stuff like that. But that's what you can say is they are very, very well made. You know what I mean in terms of everything. Yeah. You know what I mean. It's like and that's why they don't change anything on them hardly half the time. That's why they keep the things the same, like the pumps the same. They've not changed a new design on the pumps, have they? They've kept them the same. You know what I mean? And it's the same thing with the lights. They've alternated it. They put the fans instead rather than on the bottom.
They've upgraded the parts, haven't
they? They just upgraded the parts, but the actual whole mechanical mechanism of them, the machine, they've never changed because exactly like what you just said, 7 years, 8 years, and they're still running, and 6 years they still run, don't they? You know what I mean? So
it's not just that, but they make tweaks which aren't sort of deal breaker tweaks. They're nice to have, but they're not deal breakers. So it doesn't stop somebody who's got the generation before or the one before that thinking, "Damn, wish I'd have bought that one," or "Mine's inferior now." Do you know what I mean? Whereas there's some brands out there, and again, I'm not going to mention names, but every year it's like, "Oh, we brought out a generation this or this version," and it's like, "Well, really, go back to this factory, get it working properly first time, then bring it to market." But then also I'm thinking, Well, is that a strategy to just to sell more product? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, Ecotech get accused of that of the lights because we've had that conversation before. Because there seemed to be, I don't think there was, but the perception was between the 5 and the 6. There wasn't.
Yeah, there wasn't
that long.
No. It was a spread, wasn't it? That was it.
Yeah.
It was just a spread, really, and the extra was it the extra blues or the UV, wasn't it? The spectrum and stuff like that, wasn't it?
But that's what I mean, though. Somebody who's got a 5 isn't going to be like, oh, I've just lost a load of money for not getting a 6. If somebody wants a 6, they want the latest toy, latest and greatest, go and get a 6. There's some manufacturers out there that bring a product to market, and within 6 months, if not sometimes even less, they go, oh, actually, we brought out a new version of this product. When people have spent hard-earned money, sometimes hundreds of pounds on it, when really what they should have done is what Ecotech done. Go back to the drawing board, make sure it works properly, test it, have a beta team or whatever, and then send it to market instead of just in 6 months' time, we'll do another version and make even more money. Yeah. And then before worth half the price.
That's a fair point. I mean, I've been in the hobby 10 years this year. When I first come into the hobby, the Gen 3s had just come out. So that means in that time, so it's the 3, 4, 5, 6. So in 10 years, they've come out with 4 lights. So, you can say whether that's a short period of time or not, I don't know. The 3s might have been out quite a bit before me. I don't know, but it's the 3s I remember when I first started. So I don't know if they were new when I started or whether they was out before.
I think what I know we're going off on a slight tangent here, but I think the one thing that manufacturers are missing, well, they're probably not, but I think people's focus these days, and we talk about it a lot on the live stream about people getting out of the hobby because of the cost of it. I think a lot of focus these days needs to be making equipment more efficient, more economical to run.
Yeah,
it costs less to run.
Point of view.
For the watts point of view, I really do. And that's not irrelevant the size of the tank. Pump, skimmer, return, power head, whatever. I think for me it should be, this might be X amount, but it's going to save you X amount. I know it's different with lights. There's a lot more caveats to it in terms of actually, the light that actually emits and your wattage, etc. There's a lot more sort of science technology behind that, all that, figuring that out. But there's other bits of equipment within the hobby that I think could be a lot more efficient. I was surprised when I set this up. A friend of mine is an electrician, and he came out, and I thought we're going to have to run a separate RCD on this on the fuse board. But because of the equipment I got, it wouldn't have been the case if I'd run the T5s, because that would have had to have gone down that route because of the wattage. Yeah. But because I've gone with the Coral Cares and like the return pumps, they're a lot lower than I realised, which is a good thing. So I could run it off the house, off the ring main in the room. Having said that, I do think there's other products out there that would benefit people if people knew if they were cost saving, if I'm making sense, from a running point of view.
Yeah, You don't really, people don't probably look at the watt. They don't look at the wattage. Yeah, absolutely. And then the good thing on the Mobius, which I know gets a lot of criticism, it shows you the watts. I didn't realize that because I moved over the S1 and the S2 and that kind of stuff. When I put it on the tank and I was saying the level, it would then show how many watts it was actually using. And I think the S2 I'm using like something like 20 watts, which I think is quite low. I mean, to be fair, it's only running at 22%. But and I think on the Vortex, they haven't changed. They come out with the QD ones, which was the wireless, the Wi-Fi ones, but they haven't changed the Vortex at all. And that tells you something on that. And again, I've had one where I've had to change the wet side. That's a bit like Trigger's broom. So I can't say I've had that for 8 years. And I've got another one where I changed it at all. And that, 8 years I can't knock that.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some manufacturer out there, like I say, in a laboratory, trying to figure out how we as hobbyists, with a very expensive electrical bill, let's be honest, it is. You can't. You need electricity, don't you, as well as water, obviously, not mixed together. But you know what I mean. And I'm sure there's somebody out there trying to figure out, like electric cars, a more efficient way, greener way, and cheaper way of us running a tank. And I think when people buy equipment, it's something to look at. Just because it's X amount to buy it now doesn't mean it's X amount to run it for a year, is all I'm saying. That's
a fair point. Right, we've got quite a few comments on lights, so I'm just going to go down and cover those off. So one on Reef loves his Radians and his Skies and the Coral Care. Don't hear hardly anything about the Neptune Skylights.
Guys, I do like the look of them. I'd like to.
Yeah, but I haven't heard. I heard a little bit about Coral Care because obviously you've got them and I'm familiar with them because AAC's got them in their farm and I saw them when I was over in De Jong in Holland. But they're not that popular either because they look quite industrial, but they're fantastic lights. But the Skies, you just don't hear much about. And there's a couple of comments here about the par for the G6. Reef King's loving his Kessels.
Yeah, it's always lovely.
XR15 Gen 6, really good light. There we go. So the difference between hi Josh, the difference between the 5 and the 6 actually a manufacturing change. Also, I've heard that the spread was quite a bit different when BRS were doing their tests. I think the spread was significantly different on the 6 to the 5, but I'm not too sure what else. People saying the par levels on the G6 are underwhelming. Don't know. Haven't seen that, but I mean, from your experience. But also, how high do you want the par? Because you know, if you can grow it to a 3 and a 4, you don't want to be cooking them, do you?
No.
I love the G6 Pro. I changed it back from the G6 Blue.
Yeah, that's the thing is people finger with it because you have the blue one. I love the blue. I love blue in my tank. You know what I mean?
I think what some manufacturers have done, is that they've done what a lot of, this is going to sound a bit weird, they've done what a lot of mobile phone manufacturers have done, and they've locked people in. They've locked people in terms of a customer base for a long period of time. You know, there's people I know have been using Radeons all their, hobby career or whatever you would call it for 10 plus years. Exactly. Fair play to them. They've got a lot of loyalty, brand loyalty. Sorry, is what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely massive. If I had to buy new lights, I would go for Radian. So I just love them. The Radian. I mean, obviously these ones are pretty good, but I wouldn't probably. If I had a canopy or something around a tank, I might go Philips Coral Care, but I wouldn't go in on a kind of an open tank because I just think they're too junky for me. But I would definitely I'd look for the Coral Care if I had a tank similar, not saying you wouldn't go for the size of yours, but in terms of if I had a canopy around the top, I would look for those. I think the spread and also the cheap to run compared to other things. Components you can replace the components with normal Philips components as well, which is brilliant. But I think you're right. Okay, some more comments there. I like my XR15 Pros. 5 Gen 5 Pros over mine. I'm not planning on upgrading for a few years. That's a fair point on the Coral Cares. They're deadly silent. Have they got fans in them or not?
No, mine haven't got fans.
So they're going to be silent.
But they'll get a bit warm as a result.
Yeah, I can imagine. Because the whole
especially in a canopy.
Yes. Yeah. Right, I've got the 6 and the 5. Not a lot of difference, just the spread. So would you consider putting some cooling system in that hood in the summer?
I've got the fan in, haven't I? If you remember from the original build, I put the fan in from the extractor into the kit from the kitchen, so it pulls outside. So that is there, ready and waiting. So,
cool.
Plus, you know what that'll affect, don't you?
pH.
Yeah.
Loaded question now. I should have said, no, I don't know. Please tell me. We'll keep that one for Jay because he'll never catch on, will he?
He'll never catch up with that. No.
Another one about the Kessel. There we go. Love the skies. ATI Stratton. It's the dream light for me.
Yeah.
T5 is king. I've seen a couple of videos about the demise of T5. T5s we say up there, they're going to come back in a canopy. Yeah,
exactly.
And then the last one, Tommy Light can light up Blackpool.
Oh mate, honestly.
Right, I'm just going to go up and see what I've missed, and eventually we'll get to the topic. Well, we're 9 o'clock. I'll have to start in a minute. Right, we're nearly done. There's a couple more comments. There's one about Reef's Elements. Sent it away on the 28th. No results, no reply. I've got to say, whenever I send an ICP, I know it's a bit more money. I always send it tracked because at least I know it's got there. Because I sent it to Reef's Elements, sent it on the Monday, and I had the results at 10:30 in the evening the next day. Which I thought was brilliant.
Nice.
And I knew it got there because I sent it next day delivery. So
it was that stamp on the envelope that said Fish Palace YouTube that might have helped.
Maybe. Mind you, I did say one before Christmas and the machine broke, so there's a balance.
Right. Yeah. Fair enough.
Break, that's life. Yeah, there we go. First class special delivery. You should be able to track it. I've got the results today.
Nice.
Yeah, I'd speak to Jose. There's an inquiry form. He's really good. I've been having emails backwards and forwards. Really good guy. We met him, Steve, didn't we, at Crackner? Do you remember the first Crackner?
Yeah.
He was the guy from Reef's Elements. Brilliant guy to talk. He told us all about the company. It hadn't been launched that long, had it? And he was there with Don and showed us all the pictures of his tank, all the chemistry, all the product was brilliant. It was fantastic. Really nice guy.
Yeah.
Just as an aside.
I do remember
that. I think we are almost there. Dare I say it? Yes. There you go. We'll finish on that one. Really happy with the two XR15 Gen 6 Blues on the DD Reef Pro. Good choice of tank there.
Yeah.
Right. Let's get on to the chosen subject for this week. So dosing. And when I was thinking about this is a really broad subject in terms of all the stuff you can do. So maybe we start with what our experience, what we use doses for, all that kind of good stuff. So I'll come to you, Steve, because I know certainly, in terms of the 350 and all the things you've done over the years on that, you've had dozens of doses from what I remember.
Yeah, I still have.
I know.
I plan to use them on my new tank. Yeah, I mean, originally, like obviously when I first started out, I had the Kamoa, as you know, the X4, by the way, which is a fantastic doser. I had that running on the 170. I had that on the 170 anyway. And originally you just start to dose because I was doing water changes originally on that. Yeah, I wasn't dosing, you know what I mean? But then obviously when you add more corals to the system and stuff, you start to see it drop, as we all know, So then I just started to add the calcium, alkalinity, and magnesium, and I just had that running. I never dosed any trace elements or anything like that. And then I started going on, and then I went on to the Aquaforest, and as you know, basically grew my whole tank on the Aquaforest stuff. But then it got too expensive. As you know, 300 mil of each component in the height of my tank. You know what I mean? So it was like close to a litre of dosing. But then when I switched over to Corals Essentials and I figured out and I understood more about everything else that needs to go into a tank, especially with me not doing water changes, like your aminos, like your grows, things, CVEs, vitamins, etc., etc. Yeah, then that's why I added more pumps to the tank, more doses to the tank, because you just needed to. You know what I mean? I mean, theoretically, I could probably need 10 for the stuff I was dosing. I would have to have 10 to run my tank in theory. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, without doses, I'd be screwed. I would be totally screwed without doses of vitamin. You know what I mean? Because I'd forget. I'd think, oh no, I'd miss a day, and I'd do this and stuff. But I mean, originally, but like you said on the nano that I had in my kitchen, if you remember, I did that all for Reef. Remember the all for Reef, which I think I say time and time again is fantastic product. Just for for a smaller tank. I've said it for a nano tank, like my one there. Say. Because it does everything. It's got trace elements in. It's got everything in it, on it. You know what I mean? So for me, and then you don't need to add the doser, or you need to add 3 doses. It's as simple as that. You know what I mean? So for me, if you can add a product like that where everything's all in, then 100% you should go for something like that. You know what I mean? But I think as your tank gets mature, it gets bigger, especially like my old one. You just need to add different things, supplements to it, just to maintain it, especially with no water changes. But I've been lucky. I've been lucky, really, to be fair. When I've dosed, I've always been on point with it.
Yeah. So one of the questions I see online quite a bit is, how do you know when you need to dose, and how do you know how much to dose? And you get different answers.
I tested mine, yeah, and then I did a 20. I tested it at 9 o'clock in the morning, yeah, and then 9 o'clock the following morning, I seen how much it had dropped by, like on my alkalinity mainly, yeah, and then I thought, right, well, it's not dropped by that much, so I'll leave it another 24 hours, and I'll see if it drops by that same much, or see if it drops more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then the following day, it did exactly the same, and it had dropped by enough identical parameters, so I knew then how much it had dropped. And then I'll obviously the aquaforest I looked how much I needed to dose, and then I went off that, and then it was just, and then what you do is you just I always underdose, so you underdose rather than overdose. You can always put more in, but you can never take it out. You know what I mean? So I always just went half of it, and then I put that in, and then it wasn't doing anything. So then I 3/4, and then it started to get on point. You know what I mean? But yeah, something like for me is like, never put more than what you need, or even the recommended, because these manufacturers, they might say it, but they don't know what's in your tanks. Do you know what I mean? Oh yeah, on a full mixed system, this is what you should put in, but you've not seen my tank. You don't know exactly what's in it. Is that a full mixed system of SPS, or is it a full mixed system of a mixture of everything? Do you know what I mean? It's so always underdose it, and then you can always add.
Yeah, you see a lot of that, certainly on Red Sea, when it says X liters, you do this, and it's an S, and you've seen most of them do that, and it's a guide. But the problem is, people do that, and of course, you do end up overdosing to your point.
Exactly.
What is light, medium? It's a bit like flow. It's light flow, or it's a lot of flow. You think, well, what's that? What do you?
How do you determine it? You know what I mean?
I think,
exactly.
I think there's a slight danger with using dosing pumps that, for some reason, probably when you're new in the hobby, it falsely gives you this sense of, if I put a dosing pump on, then everything's going to be all right. I don't need to test anymore. If I'm making sense in terms of certain parameters. Yeah. So if I set it at 5 mil a day, then that means everything's going to be all right. So tick alkalinity, tick calcium, tick magnesium, whatever. And I think sometimes it can, rightly or wrongly, it can. It's the design for ease. Let's be honest with you, and be able to dial, certain elements into your tank a lot more accurately and consistently and stability. That's the design. But I think falsely, as a user, sometimes you can succumb to the habit of, that's going to do everything for me. No, it's going to dose for you. You still need to tell it how much to dose. You need to tell it how much to dose from testing your water, doing an ICP. Yeah. Does that make any? Do you understand what I'm saying?
So it does make sense. You become reliant on it.
Correct.
As you say,
too reliant.
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, there are systems that obviously can do that. Whether I would trust them or not is another issue. I must admit, when I started out, it was really easy. I just started off with 1 mil a day, and I was testing. So I was a bit lazy. I didn't do what you, Steve. 9 o'clock. How much work?
Oh no.
Whatever tank I do, if I do start off dosing, I do 1 milliliter. And it depends. If it's all for Reef, which I dose in one tank, it was 1. If it was, when I started, it was the Red Sea ABC, as they was known then. And 1 milliliter, and I was testing every 3 days, and then I'd see what would happen. And if it was stable, then that was what it was. And if it was, it didn't actually be, well, it wasn't too high because 1 milliliter wasn't enough. And then I would increase it, and I would then test on a kind of weekend and midweek until I dialed it in. And that's how I did it. And I found that probably a lazy way, but it was an easy way, because I didn't work out what the consumption was. Now, of course, it can be misleading because your consumption can change, can't it? Depending on what's going on, they have a growth spurt, and all of a sudden you've got to dose more, and then they don't, and they go.
I think we're forgetting that you can use dosing pumps for nutrient control as well. We'd not just have to add them to feed the tank. You can add them to help the tank, can't you? Dosing pumps are, are an accessory that can be used, for more than one application, whether it's adding in the good stuff or helping get rid of or reduce the bad stuff. I think we need to think about as well how far they've come. I mean, when I first dosing pump I got, I can't remember what brand it was, but it wasn't Wi-Fi enabled, it wasn't app controlled, it was literally plug it, program it, and fingers crossed you come back and the stepper pump hasn't stuck on. Nowadays you can control it while you're in Tenerife or whatever, and your tank's in wherever.
You get an alert,
so it's come so far compared to where it was, and I think they are a massive accessory. But I think, again, going back to what I said a second ago, they aren't. You're the person that's in control of your tank. Don't let the accessories or the toys dictate that. Is all I'd say.
Yeah,
absolutely.
True enough.
Absolutely. Right, let's go through some comments and then we'll come back to some other stuff on this. So we've got Catwasser, pH is king. Tom's obviously
definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Catwasser, I know you're a great lover of that changed your life, didn't it, Steve? Catwasser?
Certainly did. It certainly did, to be fair. Yeah.
Sorry, Paul, but the irony is that your pH is going to dictate everything that you're dosing because your uptake's all going to be down on your pH anyway. So the amount of stuff you're dosing depends on whether your pH is high or suppressed. So anyway, I'll shut up.
All comes back to pH. No, that's fine. You keep banging that drum. Josie, a great guy. Love Reef's element stuff. My system runs well on it. The only thing I use is the manganese for your gonioporas and stuff like that. But I've heard good stuff about. I think it's that does the major compound, the alkalinity or the calcium. It's got pH added. It's got a buffer in it, and I've heard good things about that particular.
Yeah, it's the plus one.
It's plus. Yeah, I've heard good things about that. Aquapower, I should say, is good.
Aquapower, yeah.
And then you got the Neptune. You then start getting onto the brains that can test and also dose for you. Would you trust something like a Neptune to do the testing and then do your alkalinity? Or in fact, the Neptune does all three, doesn't it?
The Trident.
Go on.
Trident, sorry.
Yes,
my answer no, and I've got one. I just think there's too many what's the word I'm looking for? There's too many areas where you could get stuff wrong. It could let you down. I just think, and this goes back to what I said again a second ago. Do you want to leave your tank in? Do you want to leave your gadgets in control of your tank, or do you want to be in control of your tank? And I think that goes back to my original point with the doses. You've just got to be careful that you don't rely too heavily on technology, because if you do that, then it sort of breeds laziness, from my experience. And then if all of a sudden you're lazy and you're like, well, look at my app, oh, my alkalinity is all right. So if I look at my app and my alkalinity is all right, then I don't need to get the Salifert kit out and test it. Well, yeah, you do, because it might need calibrating or it might need cleaning. Do you understand what I mean? I'm not saying every day. That's what I've always said. Well, it contradicts buying it in the first place. If you're going to test it manually, then why buy it in the first place as automated? But you've got the data from it being automated, which for me is golden, because it's telling you, data over a period of time, which it's showing you your tank's behavior, stability, personality as a tank. It allows you to understand it better and dial it in better. But for you as a hobbyist, if you're in this hobby, you have to put some dedication and time into it. You have to test your water. You do. I'm not saying you have to do it every day, like brushing your teeth, but test it every other day, test it every week, and make sure this 1,500 whatever pound bit of equipment you've bought is doing what it should be. Simple as for me.
No, absolutely. All this stuff needs calibrating, doesn't it? Look at the HANA checker, the salinity. I pretty much calibrate that every 2 weeks.
Every time,
I do.
It just drifts. And I think I've got 3 tanks. I test it once a week. That isn't many times I use it before I have to calibrate it. But I know I have to calibrate every 2 weeks. Otherwise, it just goes. And salinity, you said, is arguably the most important parameter that we have. Because if that's wrong, all your other parameters can be out. Let alone the risk it has to your corals and the fish if it goes all over the place. So that's the thing, isn't it? That kit, you have to maintain them, and that's the downside, should we say? So that's a fair point on that side. Got a couple of comments here. So John's talking about, I suppose we were talking about dosing the tanks to what they say on the bottle, and this is around knowing about the capacity and the tank measurements. Because obviously, if you've got a 350, for example, and you've got lots of rock and everything else, you probably haven't got 350 worth of water.
Very true. Yeah, very true.
Yeah. Comment there, totally agree with Tom. Have good habits, absolutely. Yeah. And then we've got a cat amongst the pigeons. I use all for Reef and only test alkalinity, and then you've got phosphate and then O3. Yeah, that's more than what some people do, to be fair. What I find with all for Reef, and I did a video last year with Lou, is when you start using all for Reef, it's understanding the 3 parameters and you might have to dose to get them in to the right level.
Check.
And then you sometimes find that they do drift because of different consumption of and therefore you'd have to then bring them back into line because it doses everything in a certain level. And if for whatever reason you've got an uptake, so I sometimes find my magnesium goes down on a tank where I've got Reef because I've got a huge torch. And I find that torches seem to have quite a higher consumption. So the size of the torch in proportion to the tank is well out of proportion. Therefore I end up having to dose that a bit more.
It's the same with the Reef's elements because Drippy's just gone on to that. Bless him. He's gone out and got a Red Sea dose. So he's gone for part 1 and 2 of this, the Reef's element stuff. And your alkalinity has got to be within a certain range, and so is your calcium, so you can dose equal parts. Otherwise, they will go out of whack. So, but again, I'm glad it does that because it makes you test your water rather than just plug it in and press a button and think, "Hey, presto, my Reef tank's sorted."
Absolutely. And on the Reef instructions, it does say about what happens if one of them goes out of sync. And how you dial it in to begin with. So it's not a case of Reef, you just throw it in. To your point, there is some maintenance required, and you need to keep an eye on it.
I mean, it's sort of like a double-edged sword there because I'm sort of thinking what I've just said. So if we complain that we have to calibrate stuff, how would we feel if we didn't have to calibrate it? Would you really trust it for a year without checking it if you have to?
I don't know. You'd probably...
Do you know what I mean, though? Do you know what somebody said?
People wouldn't, would they?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like a refractometer, you buy. One of the first bits of kit you buy when you get an hobby, probably. You don't have to calibrate it. But how often do you? Or should you? Would you?
So the refractometer, I do it every week when I use it. I'll use RO water. To make sure it's zero, because you dial it in and you use a little screw on top.
You turn it.
And each tank I do the same. So I use the RO, wipe it clean. Then I'll test it twice to make sure it's over the top. I know. With the salt water twice to do that, and then I'll use the RO again to clean it off before I do the next tank.
But you do that because you feel you need to do that. But nobody told you when you bought that you needed to do it. Is what I'm saying. When you buy it off the shelf, it doesn't say you must calibrate this every time you use it. That's what I'm saying. I just think sometimes we buy things, plug them in, and expect it to just fix everything.
Well, that's a fair point. And there's a comment there about Reef in theory should keep everything in balance, but it's definitely worth checking. It does go out of sync. Absolutely, I've had it happen a couple of times. And and again, it's each individual tank. A tank you might have may not, because the consumption is pretty good. But if you've got certain corals, they will consume things at different rates. I mean, gonioporas, I know I have to dose manganese if I want to keep them alive, based on the experience, the advice I got from Laura Eco Marines and then other people saying that. So that even though I've got Reef, I'll dose it because there isn't enough manganese in there to do what I need to do. And touch wood, they seem to do okay. Right, like helping to keep stable pH. God, we're on this pH, aren't we? This is not a pH video.
Oh, bless you.
Oh, a minute. Oh, here we go. It's pH again.
Oh.
Oh, and there's another one. We're on a roll here, aren't we?
Oh, Lee, come on.
Absolutely not. What did I say wrong? I must have said something wrong. Okay, what did I say?
pH.
No, just what's this? Potassium and sodium, fantastic at raising pH, but will melt the skin off your hands without a fault and can ruin any 3D printed. Trident runs my system for Alk and Calc, been running it great for 2 years, and Apex keeps Calc at levels I want.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to be doing another video with Lee. With Lee's, like with his crazy, setup underneath. It's just mad, mate. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah,
but, definitely interested to know. I mean, you go down into his cellar, it's just like a sea of cables, pipe work, tube. I'm like, oh my god, it's like that, guys. That guy on a smaller scale. You know the one in America, like Nutson in America, the one with a huge tank.
What?
It's like
Polo
Reef.
Reef.
Yeah, it's just like
Reef.
tubes and pipe works and everything. Obviously, a lot smaller, but it's mad, mate. Yeah.
And this is the beauty of the hobby. I think this comment, but also if you're fairly new, it's the most confusing thing. And that's why I feel sorry for people that ask a question on, even to us, because we'll say different things and people in the comments will say different things, but hopefully we can explain it. But you put something on Facebook and people say, no, you're going to do it this way. You got to do it this way. And you think, but that's the good thing. That, you know, you can run things very, very different or as simple, as complicated as you want. But
I think the question really you need to ask yourself is, how far do you want to go in the hobby? Do you want, and this goes back to what we talked about a few weeks ago with the new Red Sea Nano coming out, you know, do you just want a nano tank? You know, are you happy with that? Is it in an office? Is it in a shop? Is it in a, you know, is it in a, you know, is it just a display and not a hobby? Because there's a difference, isn't there? A display is, it looks nice. A hobby is, you want to understand, you want to get under the bonnet, you understand how it works, you know, how you can, you know, play around with things.
You want to push yourself.
You want to push yourself. You want to challenge yourself, experiment, all those sort of things. So I think it's a fair point what Carl's saying, and I think for me it boils down to that question: where do you want to go with it? Do you want a marine tank? You know, find an Nemo, 2 Nemos, you know, an enemy, whatever, Dory, you know, all that. It's completely different.
You know what? To be honest, you know what? I agree there, because you know what? I would never have seen myself think with this little nano tank, only because of what's happened and you know the house needed to be redone and stuff. But I'm finding myself that I'm really liking this nano system. You know, like I'm really took to it. You know what I mean? And I never thought that I would, because I'm looking at it. I look at it all the time, and I come in and I see how well it's doing and stuff, and I'm like, I really do like that nano, and I actually like it doing water changes, which I never ever thought I would say. But I am.
You're recording this, Paul. You're recording this.
Well, you think about you go back a couple of years. The flack we used to give Jay to say, Jay, the size of your tank, that's as big as our RO units, and blah blah blah. Get yourself a big boy's tank, and put your big boy pants on, and here we go. We've both got nanos.
You know what? I look at it and I think, freaking hell, it's probably got about 40 litres of water in there. That's it. Yeah. My tank was taking 25. It was had 25 litre jerry cans there full of RO water. It was taking 5 litres of water a day. It's crazy, you know, when I look at it like that. But I think,
but would you put?
I'm really enjoying it.
All jokes aside, would you put a doser on your nano, on your Fluval?
Now we're going a bit overboard there.
No, the point I'm making to the original question is, you don't always need to dose, is what I'm saying.
No, you don't.
Absolutely.
No.
If you could do water
That's what I'm
changes, and you've maybe got corals that are less heavy on the elements, then you can get away with it. Now, would I put a doser on here? Eventually, I'll get it sorted out, and then if I put a dose on it and it saves me doing water changes, I would do that.
Yeah.
Because there's a different way of doing it. I could have one head doser on here, all for reef, keeps it nice and stable. Then you've got, decent salinity for your auto top off. Got a one head doser, that's doing what it needs to do. And then that just purrs along. I'd take that every day of the week, because I know if I manually have to dose, I know I'm going to forget. Because I've had that before. So on this, I would do that. For sure on that one. But other people wouldn't. So again, it's that thing on the screen, isn't it? Running the tanks differently. Right, I've got a few more comments. I just want to look at this. So John, I had to lower my all for Reef because my KH went up to 13. Yeah, everything else was fine. Reef dudes, Lou thought that wasn't the norm. I don't think it is the norm, but obviously it went up to 13. So there's something there. I use sodium carbonate, a lot safer than hydroxide, and it's still good to raise pH. You guys are awesome for spreading your knowledge, Joel. Thank you. We can but try. No, you asked if you would try. Right, they were saying no because I was asking about trusting Trident. Right, I get it. Thank you. And someone else mentioned that earlier on, so thank you. I just wasn't paying attention. Cheers, Steve. I do get called mad scientist, and really appreciate you guys for providing this podcast. Thank you. No, we enjoy it. We've been here all year, nearly 3 years. So I think it's next month we would have done this for 3 years as a team. So it's gone pretty quick, to be fair. So it is nuts, isn't it?
It has, mate. To be fair, it has. It's it's. I mean, when we first decided on doing it, we was like looking at each other, we thinking we're mad, weren't we? It was
a bit nerve wracking, wasn't it? You just kind of crack on with a live stream.
What we're doing, you know what I mean? Yeah. But it's turned out, like you said, fantastic, and it's just something different, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's, you know, we're not proclaiming that we know everything, but it's just a bit of banter, a bit of fun, bit of a laugh on a Friday. You know, at the end of the week,
you're involving the audience. You're involving the audience, which is key for me.
Try to. Yeah. Also, when we did start, we actually got quite a lot of flack. Because if you think about it, none of us were that experienced. I mean, Jay had been, his tank wasn't a year. Ross's tank wasn't a year. Your tank was 3 years. And I'd been in the hobby 6 years. So not that long. And usually you get people that have done stuff for decades on live streams. So we did take a bit of stick and we just rode it out and we're just having a laugh, really. So, thank you, everyone, for watching. And some of you guys have been with us all that time as well. So, you're nuts, but thank you. And then Johnny Boy saying best year. Thank you, but you're nuts. I say that in the nicest sense. Scott's asking about Modern Reef. So I've heard about Modern Reef, but I don't know anyone who uses Modern Reef. So I can't say Scott.
I've heard a few good things, but a while ago I heard a few bad things, but I can't say what they were. So I'll stop there.
Yeah.
I have heard there are a few good things. Yeah, I know Josh was on about it on Wednesday when I saw him. He was saying somebody he knows said the colours that his friends were getting were a bit insane. So yeah, something
there's another one there.
Looking at. Yeah.
Pulling
Liam's looking at it.
Before.
Yeah.
There you go. And Scott's being humble. But no, I know the tank is pretty good because Scott said,
definitely couldn't be better.
He sent a message over the other day with it. Yeah,
definitely.
It's that balance, though, isn't it? You know, how much do you strive and you end up tipping the tank in the direction you don't want to because you're tinkering. It's a fine.
Well, you'll all be commenting on mine when I've got pastel corals and you say they don't look real and they look fake, but whatever. I'm not bothered.
It looked like Radical's tank. They've got a tank, haven't they? They've got that cube one that's full of. It looks really colourful, to be fair. Yeah, and I'm going to meet you, because I'm going to Radical up in March.
Yeah, we are. We're going to meet. Yeah, we are.
We'll have a look at the plastic tank. If you're not working, you want to travel across the Pennines and maybe have a meet.
Come on.
Yeah, I'm trying it. Yeah.
I can't remember when I'm going. It's in March sometime, but I'll let you know, and then we'll have a bit of a meet-up if you're up for it.
Yeah, absolutely, mate.
I'm up there for the weekend. Right, what's this? I've just bought a Red Sea Max Nano. The Gen 2, the 125 litre. Fantastic.
Oh,
my AC. The guys were spot on. Absolutely my go-to LFS. Helped me right after being nervous getting back into the hobby. So Dean, love to hear about, if you're on Instagram, then send me some message. I'd love to see what that looks like. It looks a pretty good tank.
Yeah, it does look a good tank. It does.
Yeah. And then we've got here Alex Brooks, DD single pump, P1 losing its settings on a regular basis, moved to a Kamoa. I tell you what, those Kamoas, I had a stepper motor when I had a calcium reactor.
Yeah.
Beast of a pump. I mean, I ran it for 23 hours a day and it just goes. Goes and goes. Those Kamoa. They're brilliant. And some of the other pumps actually use Kamoa motors on them, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. Yeah.
DD do. I'm not too sure if some of the others do, but love the Nano. Yeah, you've got the Reef Nano, the Red Sea one as well, haven't you, Carl? So using Reef's elements at the moment and adding Coral Essentials Part B for extra metals use. Right, I'm just realising the time stay. So I need to get through these comments. So you better get the Wheel of Fortune ready.
Oh, yes, I forgot about this. Yeah, I have.
What's your thoughts on the new Red Sea Max Nano? Just quickly, I think it looks really, really good. The display is virtually the same size as the 170. So it's 125
Yeah.
litres, and I think the 170 is about 127 litres. With the 170, obviously you've got a sump, so that's where you get the 170.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it's good for your mental health. Unless you're having problems with your tank, in which case it doesn't do much.
Just don't look at it.
Tried Elements, didn't like the sales pitch.
Right then.
On the flip side, he had
an issue, bless him, because he was putting in what was he telling me? He was putting in a lot of the Coral Essentials stuff, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but just any additive without understanding his uptake, and again going back to testing of his tank.
Yeah.
So certain levels just went off the charts as a result of that.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I find you have to test more. So as I say, 3 times
you've got to.
Some of the stuff he was putting in, you can't test on a normal test kit.
Really?
So what I'm saying is, it's great, but again, this goes back to my behaviour of your tank and personality and the uptake of it. If you don't know what it is, then why would you chance it pouring a load of magic potion in? You don't know whether it's going to be absorbed or it's going to do damage. So, if you can, just send an ICP off at least once a quarter, every 3 months, at least every 3 months. If you can, every month, bang on.
I'm doing this every month. I'm due to send another only because I want to know what's going on with silicates and stuff like that. It's the only way you can really test it accurately, because I need to have high silicates in this.
Especially if you don't believe in water changes, send an ICP off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Modern Reef here. Speak to Duncan at Yorkshire Reef. His main SPS displays run on Modern Reef. Steve, you borrowed Jay's famous light for tonight. Your light was, there we go, he's gone again.
He's blended in, he's camouflaged with that jumper on.
No, it's the light off my laptop. I can turn it down.
Thanks, guys, for providing these Friday night streams. The reason for many of us is watch for so long is that people buy from people. Fair enough, and thank you for watching. Chris Pond in process setting up the XXL G2 signature frags. You're going to see frags, aren't you? Is it this weekend?
Sunday, I think. It depends on Jay. Depends on if he's available or not. We shall see. I'll wait for him to message me, see what the score is. But we've got an appointment 12 o'clock. Not buying anything, just looking. Yeah, right. Well, see what happens on that one. Especially with his, what was it? Buy X and you get, was it 6 for 5? Something like that.
Yeah.
But Jay's already got something, so he's going to pick it up. So
So Paul, because time's running on, you know how long it takes me, people want a Muggs' mug, comment below Muggs' mug, and then we'll put it on the spin. So Muggs' mug, and then we're gonna.
So what they got? What they got to put in the comments? What they got to put in the comments?
Muggs' mug.
Muggs is a mug. That's it. Did you say Muggs is a mug?
Well, all that, whichever you, you can put that.
MP40 giveaway.
So nothing. Muggs' mug. There we go.
Hey, Muggs' mug. And then I'm gonna fill it in.
Yeah, and Scott says, of course, Scott's going to say that, isn't he? Sorry, Steve, that's my fault. Right, so I'll go some comments while you're beaving away. Apparently Aqua H has been postponed to September, so Steve is a speaker on his new tank. Is that right, Steve? You're being a speaker.
I don't know about that, mate. Don't know about that.
Right, definitely set up an Insta for the tank, but follow you boys all over your socials. Thank you for that, Dean. But let us know.
Cheers, Dean.
And I'm really interested to see what's going on. So Carl's got the Peninsula desktop running nothing but filter floss and the return pump. I'm assuming water changes, you'll take care of it. Trust me, these tanks don't help your mental health. Just corpse me from stress. That is a fair point. So that's the exit. It's the 125 litres. There we go. I've done the same multi-downgraded time on time, but really enjoyed the 40 litre system. Easy water changes. Absolutely. Completely agree, Lee. We buy these gorgeous tanks to help us relax, and all they do is the opposite. Wait till you get a custom one. Oh, God, yeah. Right, okay. So most people are doing the Mogsy's mug or Mogsy with an A. So how you doing, Steve? You got the Wheel of Misfortune going?
I have, mate. Yeah, I'm glad you said that. Yeah, I am. I've got it go. Well, it was already saved on me, on the screen, so it's got my picture on it. So I already saved it, so it's got my picture on it already. So I'm just adding them onto that, mate. Yeah,
cool.
So we'll.
So Tom, in terms of that tank you've got there, are you going to be dosing anything? Because I know you've got the blue bottles, which is more about manual dosing, isn't it? I mean, it is obviously a form of dosing. You're just doing manual dosing rather than automated.
So it'll run on a calcium reactor eventually, and then we'll look at what the pH does, and then we'll look at the calquas. It depends on how it's all to do with uptake and what course I've got in the tank. You know, the whole point. I'm not going to bore everybody with the zeolite system again. I keep saying it, but I will be targeting certain corals with certain bottles that are based on colour and food. So it will depend on what I put in the tank. And that kind of goes back to what I said earlier with dosing. Understand the behaviour and what you've got in your tank and what your uptake is before you start throwing stuff in, and that's what I'll be doing. So certain things will be dosed manually, and then it might get to a point where if I'm dosing, I don't know, 20 mil a day, it can go in a doser and be controlled that way.
Yeah,
just from an automation point of view. So it will be a gradual. It will move from the tank will move from manual dosing of certain minor trace elements and trace elements to automated, and that's it. And same with foods. Feed phyto at night, that'll go on a doser, but a lot of other things will be done manually. So I ain't got a crystal ball. I don't know. We'll have to see as the tank grows. As the tank grows, some corals will go quicker than others. Some won't. You know, I might go through a shopping spree of putting a lot in at one point. I might not. I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to wait and see.
They quite often can go. The corals have spurt growths, I find, and all of a sudden your algae starts going, and it also depends on what else you're doing with the tank, doesn't it? If you're not changing things, they get the stability, and all of a sudden, bang, it can go. They can grow, and the out goes through the floor, which is actually it's a good thing as long as you catch it before it goes too mad. I'm
not going to keep banging this drum, but for me, alkalinity is nowhere near as big a deal as people think, as long as it doesn't go below a certain level. You know, I said this to somebody the other day. I'll say it one last time before the end of tonight. pH gives your tank an appetite. Yeah, yes, pH gives your tank an appetite.
I think it's overrated, Tom. I think you're making a meal. You're dining out on this one.
pH gives your tank an appetite, and your alkalinity is a source of food. That's it. So if your pH is low, they're not going to consume as much. If pH is higher, they'll eat more. Simple as. You know, so focus on the pH first before you start focusing on the alkalinity, providing the alkalinity doesn't drop below a certain point, which for me would be 6. But other than that, happy days. You know, put some corals in, see what happens, and dose it accordingly. But again, you know, I'm looking at certain colours, I'm looking at certain corals, so it's not a one size fits all for anybody with what I'm doing.
Yeah, but because you're going predominantly.
Well, it's ultra low new. It's ultra low new.
More from a flow point of view, isn't it? As well.
Well, not just that, but obviously the bacteria that you grow on the zeolites, it feeds them. It fills it. The bacteria itself, when you pump it, it feeds. It feeds the corals rather than taking the food out of your excess nutrients into phosphates and nitrates. But yeah, that's, to be honest with you, Liam, the amount of people I've been talking to this recently, that is what I've come to. The easiest way to explain pH and alkalinity. pH gives your tank, you know, it's like you want your pH to be like a guy walking out of a pub on a Saturday night that's had 12 pints that wants a kebab or the biggest pizza known to man. And the way you do that is by raising your pH. It's as simple as. That's the best way I could put it. From one Yorkshireman to another. That's the easiest way I could put it. You know? So
brilliant.
If your pH is low, it doesn't matter how much food you put on the table, your corals aren't going to eat it. They'll just take little bits. And that's your alkalinity I'm talking about, along with other elements. Yeah.
And there's a question. There's one further up about sand. I'll come to that in a minute, Heather. So Tom's saying, is that the same? Sorry, Dean's saying the same for new establishment.
In what way?
Must be
I can't hear you.
Thank you for giving your closest.
Steve's got a lot of. Steve, can you go and mute a minute because you've got loads of background noise.
Sorry, mate.
That's all right. There you go.
Same for new tank. Sorry, in what capacity are we talking here? In what context? I'm lost.
I don't know, Dean. I don't know if it's in relation to pH and the correlation. Not too sure. Don't know.
Look at the ocean. And again, I'm not going to sit here pretending I'm David Attenborough. I'm not. But look at the ocean. You know, it's got loads of air exchange, loads of CO2. You know, degas exchange. There isn't a lid on it like in a tank or in a house. It's not restricted. So the pH is naturally runs at 8.3, and that in itself is a life source. You know, it promotes the life source. So your pH dictates everything else in your tank. End of. The pH is really important, and that's the last thing I'm going to say. So you're going to keep ridiculing me for saying it, but your pH dictates too much.
Drippy's saying you're being too vague.
Drippy, I've spoke to you too much about it this week. My missus sat on settee saying, "Who's the Drippy guy?" She thinks I'm getting married to him. You know. No, but I'm in the air. When the first tank I ran was before I went on the Triton system. I chased alkalinity, and I chased it for years, and it doesn't really matter. The issue with alkalinity is food on the table for your corals. As long as you've got food on the table, they can eat the food, but they will only eat an amount of food based on the pH, and the pH is what gives them the like I say, the appetite for the food on the table. So make sure they have the right appetite, and they will eat the food. That's why some people will say, well, my alkalinity is only dropped by a certain amount. Well, yeah, because probably your pH isn't probably where it should be. So therefore, you're not kickstarting, you know, the corals to absorb it and to uptake that alkalinity, if I'm making any sense. Yeah?
Yeah.
So just because your alkalinity is X doesn't mean that that's necessarily a good thing, because if your corals aren't consuming it, therefore they're not growing. So you want to make sure your corals are absorbing it. So make sure your pH is elevated so that they take it out and they take it off the dinner table, if that makes sense to people. I'm just trying to give it in a simple way for people to understand, because I know I keep going on about it every week or every other week. Hopefully that makes sense.
It's fine. And there's a good comment there about acidic. And if it's too low.
Definitely.
Cool. Right. Let's see what other comments we've got. There's one from John. So I noticed on the Neptune Apex, the pH went up within 12 hours. It was really quick because it was going through the skimmer. But I think having a really decent skimmer helps. I'm not saying you haven't, John, because the more bubbles you can produce, it pulls it through. So yeah, it was fairly quickly. And if I turn my skimmer off for whatever reason, I'm cleaning, I forget to turn it off, it will drop in about 6 hours. There is a delayed reaction on it, but it's relatively quick compared to other things. So it helps that I've got an Apex, so I can see if I turn it off, I turn it on, you can just see the spike within a 6 hours. I know when I turn the skimmer off and the impact it and it has. Right. Okay. So what's Tricky say? So lower pH, the hungrier the I'll show put that on screen. Right.
He's talking about himself, clearly.
I think so. Sorry, what meant was there a level you should be looking for? But no worries, you just answered it. Right, okay. pH will be lower at night. Yeah, absolutely. That's why people help running. Maybe people run their skimmers at night, not during the day, because that helps. And also with refugiums help.
Yes.
Calquasa. Yeah. Right. There is a change in the subject completely, because there was a question from Heather. if I can find it. There we go. Need help. 2-year-old Evo's sand looking dirty. How should I change out? Oh, sorry. Should I change out for new? I wouldn't change. I wouldn't. If you're going to change out for new, do it gradually. If you take all your old sand out and you put new sand out in, you're asking for problems because you'll stir it all up. You create problems. You could create a cycle. You could release unwanted ammonia into the tank. That kind of stuff. You could clean the sand, but I would do it gradually. So I would consider. I wouldn't take it all out. If you want to swap sand over, do it bit by bit. In terms of take a bit out, put one in. But unless it's absolutely like a toilet or a cat litter, I think you can probably clean it, but do a bit at a time. I don't know what you think, guys.
No, I agree. Yeah, disturbing sand up. I think even in a small one could be a disaster. That, to be fair. We all know, don't we? I mean, even like mine. I mean, obviously, I didn't have do water changes in my big one, but there's stuff that came from the bottom when I lifted all that rock up, and Scott, we were moving.
I think
that.
I probably
mate.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the level of husbandry is on the tank, but I'd probably say review it. Yeah.
I would. Or like you said, Paul. Really take a little bit smaller. Little bits at a time, maybe.
If you want to do that, I'll do that as a last resort. So in this tank here, I could have taken all the sand out, and people say doing that. I wouldn't do that because even though I've only got a small amount of sand, I know if I take it all out, there's lots of beneficial bacteria on that, and there's also some goodness on that. And and in a small tank, it doesn't take much to tip it into a place you want to be. So I think just clean it, but I wouldn't have a major clean. I would do it a bit of a time. I would clean it, do a water change, and as you're doing 10% each week, do a 10% change and clean just segments. It's almost like do 10% of the sand whilst you're doing 10% of the water. And as you go round, that should prevent it from causing problems. That's a fair point about cleanup crew. Throw some cleanup crew in there.
Throw a load of cleanup crew,
You've got the snails. What's the snails that go into the sand? So I think they're fantastic.
Nazarius.
Yeah, and also conch as well. So a combination of those that will do it naturally. That's
good. You know what I think? I think the Nazarius snails, are one of the
brilliant to watch.
Creepiest but most fascinating creatures going. Like they're all in the sand, and you don't think that you've got any cleanup crew. And the moment I start putting food in there, they just come up like Land of the Living Dead. Aren't they? They all come up.
Yeah,
there's about 20. I think they've got about 15 in there. They just come up, mate. They smell it, and they're just all out crawling on the glass and everything.
We're saying all this, but you might have a mantis shrimp in it for all we know.
Yeah, it's true.
In which case, all bets are off unless you want to provide food for it. But on the basis you haven't, I think snails would be a good shout. Right. Okay. So, how are you doing, Steve? How long have people got to put in the? It's done, is it?
Done.
3 minutes. 3 minutes. We'll draw it at 10-2 like we did the other time, mate. So they've got 3 minutes to put Moggs's mug in the comment box below. After 3 minutes, that's it. I think let me have a look. Let me have a look. Who was the last one who I put down?
I'll have a look through the comment.
Reefer 350 mix. That's the last one
that's the last one. Yeah,
that's the last one that I see. Reefer 350 mix. Who's put one? Let me have a look. Yeah, I think he's the last one. Who's
absolutely
or she? Sorry, he or she, whoever it is. And then
you've got Cole's just put it in as well.
Reef,
Cole's the last one.
Oh, just put it in.
Yeah, he just has. Yeah. So put Reef King in there.
Right. Let me see.
Going back to the CO2 scrubber, you put one in recently, didn't you, Tom?
Yes, I did.
Did that have a good impact?
It did. I couldn't tell you how much because I've not calibrated my pH probe yet. So no, and I need to because when I took it off the 6.2 off the Red Sea, I just put it in water in salt water for God knows how long. It's been in a jug in the garage. So I plugged it back in and it's just completely out of whack. So I need to calibrate it. But no, I know it's working. share you some photos, but I've got one. The tabling frag that I got from Alex at my LFS at Fit Filtration. I won't say it's doubled, but it's grown significantly in 2 weeks.
Wow.
Let's just say. And when you, I know it might be a bit. I think there's a bit of luck there in terms of placement. You know what I mean, in terms of where I've actually put it. But to say,
so is it getting flow from all sides? Because I find that tabling, if you want them to grow out properly, then they need that flow, not battered, but they do need a fair amount of flow from all sides.
So that's. I'm trying to find you a photo now while we're talking. So that's the day it went in. I've just put that in the group.
Yeah.
And this is today.
What?
I can't share that.
You're putting me right on the spot now, aren't you?
That's all right.
Yeah. You're all right.
There you go. So as Josh just put, I left my skimmer off other night whilst bacteria dosing. My pH went from 8.2 down to 7.95. So it's like just a touch over 0.2 from what the skimmer was doing.
Yeah.
And that has the scrubber on it.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
So my impact is about 0.3 to 0.4 has gone up on average compared to without scrubber.
But no, if you look at that, I've just sent you. That's what the increase has been in 2 weeks tomorrow. That frag went in.
Where's your purse?
Right, I can't. Oh wow, that's gone up quite a lot. Unfortunately, I can't share that. I don't know if you can see it on the screen. No, it's too much reflection. But anyway, it's doubled. So,
doubled pretty much, yeah.
Absolutely.
So something's working.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think it helps all the bacteria and everything else you've done. Oh, we're out of time, are we?
We're out of time, mate. Yeah.
That's it, mate. That's it now.
Right.
So Paul, do I shut that? Can I send that over to you? Do I present?
Just just put
presenting it. And then share.
It should come up on the screen here, and then share, and then it will come up on my box, and I'll share it.
That one. Does it come up on yours?
No. Oh, yes, it is when it's coming through.
Is it coming through?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll just so people need to have a look to make sure their name's on it.
Yeah. Have a look. Make sure your name is on it.
On the right-hand side, if you scroll up and down, Steve, only because it's quite hard to see on the wheel.
Oh, how professional does that look, Steve? That looks very good.
I know, mate.
Oh, mate.
Yeah.
It's good, that, isn't it?
It is.
Tell you, mate. We don't mess around on our live stream, mate. Tell you.
Stepped it up, hasn't he? I'm not doing that next time.
No,
I don't expect that from me.
That's impressive. That I like that.
It is, isn't it? So I'm scrolling up and down. Hopefully you can see your name. I have definitely done this. 32 entries
Nice.
in it. So yeah, there's I think we're definitely on it. So let me have a look. Yeah, I'm sure we have. Yeah, definitely. So we all set? Is everybody in? Yeah.
Do it.
Are we good?
Yeah. Let's see who's going to win the mug.
I shall press it now.
Press your button.
And we're spinning. The winner is.
Oh, it's tight.
Reefer 350 mix.
It was the last one, wasn't it?
350 mix. I think it was. Oh, no.
Carl was last one.
So Reefer 350 mix, yeah. Message me on Instagram. Your address. And I'll get it sent over to you. I'm sending another one out as well, so I'll send them both out Monday. So we should get to you Wednesday or something like that. So yeah, message me. And I'm getting a few more made. Actually, I'm getting a few more mugs made, different ones. So yeah, I've been in contact, so it should be good.
Nice.
Good stuff.
Right, okay. We will.
How do you get rid of that? Do I get rid of it?
There we go. He's done it.
We're going to ask the audience what next we want to talk about next Friday. Try and get that as a bit of a routine, maybe.
Let's do that. What do you want to cover next week? And while you're doing that, there's a couple of comments I want to get over. That's a fair point. So Heather's come back and said, just over time doing maintenance, we removed most of the sand, they left chunky bits. think it was the live sand 2 years ago. If you're going to add new, if you haven't got much sand and you want to add, I would add a cup at a time. I wouldn't put loads of new sand in at the same time. I would just do it gradually if you need to put more sand in. But if it's all a bit gunky and stuff like that, I would hoover it up first before putting new sand on top. Otherwise, you're just going to trap the crud that's in there and potentially ask for trouble later on. So I would clean it out first and then just put a cup at a time in. Personally, okay. So hopefully that has helped. The list on the right is amazing, Steve. Hang on,
Appreciate that, John.
Where's the grey beard on the wheel? Trust Drippy to bring it down, eh?
Hold on a minute. That was done that was done 4 years ago, that mate. That was done 4 years ago. Times have changed.
It's doing the live stream with people like Drippy on, isn't it? That makes you go great.
Yeah.
There we go. You know, one-arm Reaper called down for a brew. Say hi.
Yeah.
Nice one. Congratulations.
Yeah,
there we go. Look, you know what I was going to talk about. This is another loaded question, isn't it?
Yeah.
I haven't got. I am a mug, but I haven't got a mug cup.
I might just get some mugs done. Just says pH is king. That's all I like.
You want pH with a crown on, don't you?
pH
Sitting
is
on
king.
A throne with
pH is king. pH is king. pH is king.
Yeah, I'll make a thumbnail for you. I'll make a thumbnail for you.
Do it, mate. pH is king.
pH is king. Yeah, pH is king. Yeah.
Hashtag pH is king. Just mugs.
And send it to Jay. I'll send it to Jay.
Yeah, we'll get Jay a little one, two-handed one.
Yeah. That's a good one there down at the bottom. Dean there.
Live rock. We can talk about live rock or
live rock or not.
That 100%. If you can get
that
a good story. Yeah, get a good source to it. Definitely.
So Dean, they have got live rock at AAC, and I know Cole bought his tank from AAC recently, and because it's a nano, I think all of his rock is live rock, which really will help you starting the tank. So I don't know if you bought your rock yet. If you haven't, then go to AAC, get live rock, or if you want to hear us talk about it. But definitely they've got some, well, unless they've sold it all to Cole, which I doubt it, they'll have live rock left for sure. That will definitely help you in terms of helping the reefing experience for sure. So I think it's pH and live rock to be or not.
Live rock or not?
That is the question. So a bit of Shakespeare there with our live rock.
Rock or not?
There we go, Drippy. Yes, to spoil it. When we all meeting up. Watch your space, Drippy.
Yeah, watch your space. Yeah.
Right, what have we got? So we're nearly out. We've got 2 minutes. So we're doing pH. Whose channel next week? Steve, are you working or are you hosting?
I'm working next week. Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, yeah.
Look at Tom's face. So Tom, are you hosting?
Tom, you might be hosting, mate.
I'll get a bash, but yeah.
Yeah, go on, lad. Go on.
I'll do it. I'm not scared. I'm not scared, mate. I'm in for a penny, in for a pound. I'll have a go. Yeah.
Cool. I trust you, mate.
Right, there we go.
I think you could hold the fort. You could hold the fort.
Absolutely. We've got pH on the pH channel. Oh, what more?
Well, hopefully, my mugs and t-shirt and my pH cake will come by then.
Yeah, that would be funny, that, mate. I tell you. Yeah, love that.
Right.
Hopefully, I'll try and get on. I don't finish till I think I finish at 9:15 or something. So fingers crossed I can get on for the last half hour or 40 minutes or so. Fingers crossed.
Sound, that'd be good. You could see me make an absolute ash of it.
Hey, don't worry, mate.
No, you'll be fine.
It all happens. It happens to us all.
Oh dear.
Absolutely.
Wow.
We can do a run through during the week on stream.
Yeah, we're gonna need to do that. Definitely.
Yeah. I'm gonna put my feet up. I'll tell you what, Jay is gonna play up next week. So
I know he is. And we got you know those reins that parents put on kids to stop them from running away. You know, put any of them on him or something. Like just
you can put him on mute though. You can actually control it. You can.
Days.
At the bottom, there's a mute button for each person, so you can.
Definitely. It'll be like
every time he talks.
It'll be like Kenny off South Park by the time I've finished with him.
Brilliant. Right. Okay. I think we're out of time. So we're at 10 o'clock. Let's just finish up on a few comments. I know it does, doesn't it? Can't wait for next week. Yeah. It'll be a cracker. No. Bye for now.
Cheers, Ellie.
Tom, it's okay if you make a mess. We just love the
cheers. Thank you. Cheers, John. Have a good weekend, John. Anyway.
Right. So we're not on Farmer Tom's channel next week.
Oh, we're
on TV Corals.
TV Corals.
TV Corals.
Absolutely. TB needs to get some corals, that's for sure. Otherwise,
that as well. Right.
Yeah, and that as well.
I think we are done. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thanks, guys, for being live as always.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for the comments and everything. Been a cracking week.
Stay salty.
As always.
Have a good weekend.
Stay salty.
Stay salty.
Stay salty.
Have a good one,
Take care, guys.